get it. I mean, why? Come on. I mean, the whole process is set up to make sure that you get your day in court, you get the allotted time to defend yourself in court.
Now, we were talking about this too, and this is a real thing. People think it's made up. Listen, I told you, when you go to these municipal courts, we call them the kangaroo courts, you're going to McDonald's court, okay? You're going to be treated as one of their employees. And look, Brandon, here's what the ordinance says. You violated the ordinance. What do you plead, Brandon? You plead guilty or not guilty? And what do you plead? That's what they're doing to you, okay? They're pulling you in these administrative courts. Now, if you walk into that administrative court and you just start conversing and talking, they're going to claim that you made a general appearance, okay? That means you've granted the court jurisdiction in this matter, that you've basically told the court that, yeah, they have jurisdiction in this matter to resolve this matter. That's why we tell people when you're going to challenge jurisdiction, you make what's called a special appearance,
That's
okay?
right.
Special appearance for one purpose, to challenge the court's jurisdiction in this matter. Because these are inferior courts, these municipal courts. Most courts are inferior courts. Your Supreme Courts, your state Supreme Court and the federal Supreme Court, they're not inferior courts. But these little local courts, these municipal courts, are inferior courts, which means they only get their jurisdiction through the sufficiency of the pleading from the other side. So if that guy's pleading is insufficient, that court can never get jurisdiction. And the way the court tries to get personal jurisdiction over you, that's your service of process. When that process server knocks on the door and serves me, well, now that court can try and claim, well, now they can at least get me my foot in the door because I had service of process. Now they can claim they have in personam. I could still challenge it, but they're now going to claim that they have in personam jurisdiction at that point if they got me served. Now we need to go into subject matter jurisdiction, where now there has to be a valid cause of action filed against me. If there's no valid cause of action filed against me, then that court never had subject matter jurisdiction in the matter. And if it's not a formal complaint, we were talking about what do you do? Formal complaint, you sue somebody, process server comes out and serves you. If it's not a formal complaint, it's a citation, or it's some other code.
Offense, whatever they call it, whatever poppycock they call it.
That's not a formal complaint. Hence why it's not a formal complaint, because it shows up in your mail with a 50-cent stamp on it, okay? So right off the bat, if that's not a complaint, that court can't have subject matter jurisdiction in the matter, okay? And there's a great case law in Pennsylvania that I stumbled upon, and they hit it all in one shot. It basically states that standing, here's what standing is. You got to be a damaged party. You got to be affected in some way, okay? So it states that, in general, standing is separate from subject matter jurisdiction, they state. But they state when a statute creates a cause of action, that's your driving code, that's your code inspector idiot. When a statute creates a cause of action, there must be a party with standing in the matter, which means, and then they can further go on to define what standing is, that it means somebody's got to be directly affected by something you did, okay? They've got to be directly affected in some negative way. That's what standing is. So they must have standing, because it states courts are not there to sort of, they're only there for what's called justicable controversies. There's got to be a real controversy. Hey, Brandon hit my car and took off. That's a real controversy, Not that.
Well, and that's our issue.
Stepped on my grass,
Yeah, well, our big issue here is that the Bar Association by itself has broadened our process here so far to thieve out of everybody's pockets, and that's the truth. So they've made marriage, they've really destroyed everything with their ability to turn people against each other and pilfer their pockets. And that's really one of the things that the Bar Association has done, is broaden what our courts are really supposed to be about.
What a profession, huh? Listen, you've got this profession where they don't teach us law in school. They don't teach us anything about it. So now you've got this dedicated profession, and these people's entire career is taking advantage of somebody that doesn't know any better. Isn't it like almost taking advantage of like a retarded person?
Yeah.
Somebody that doesn't know any better. They're never taught. And now you're going to take advantage of this person. Well, that's what your average attorney is. And I don't want to say every attorney's like that, mostly everyone I ran into so far. Okay, there are some good ones. Dr. Gray's a good guy. Okay, he's a good attorney, and I'm sure there's others. I back in the music business, I crossed paths with a decent attorney. But all in all, they are entitled elitists with these education, and they look down on you, look down their nose at you. You are just a peon. You're one of the monkeys. Okay.
I'll give you a great instance on this. Gary, my friend Gary, was heavily involved in state politics in Louisiana in a past instance. So we sent very, very connected. Gary is with a bunch of lawyers in New Orleans and everywhere else, and I've got to meet a few of them and things of that nature. But we sent one of our complaints to go get just a look over, proofread, grammar, a deal, and one of the lawyers circles the municipality section that we had in there and about inhabitants and says, "What the bullshit is this?" So, what we did, we got on Westlaw and like, "Oh, you don't know," and so sent it silence, right? And out of the 20 lawyers, one of them wrote back and said, "Hey, man, this is a well pleaded complaint. Good job." But the other one out of, and I'm just telling you, this is, folks, I only know this because of the situation that I'm in and doing the things that I do. One out of every 20 to 25 lawyers just don't, the rest of them just don't know. They really don't know. And if they don't know and they're in there trying to represent you and they don't even care about you anyway, how much of your interest is really getting solved? And of course, we know zero.
Yeah, we had somebody ask the question earlier. Well, this is too complicated. So you got to learn all this law stuff. Hey, listen, here's where I started out. I took the 250-hour jurisdictionary course. It was 250 hours like 4 years ago when I took it. Okay, he still got it at 250. So in there, in the sewer authority case, when that started, I said, let me try this discovery process stuff. And now you need to know what discovery is and how powerful discovery is. Because listen, when you write that letter out of court to them or you file an affidavit with them, they have no obligation to respond to you or answer you. They don't have to give you no answer. But when I file that lawsuit against them and I get a formal action going, now I could do discovery. I could do admissions, which are yes, no questions. I could do interrogatories, which are full sentences I can ask them. I could do a request for production. Give me these documents, give me those documents. And oh, by the way, I could do depositions, which means I get to sit down with Mr. Tax Collector over here, one-on-one. His attorney could sit there, but he can't answer the questions for him. He can only make sure that I follow the rules. And I could ask that guy anything I want. And, oh, by the way, if they don't want to give me the stuff I asked for, the documents, or they don't want to do a deposition, well, now I could have them subpoenaed and have the court force them to do it, okay? This is discovery. This is powerful stuff. Thinking about sitting your enemy down in front of you, okay, and being able to ask him any question you want, and you could, like, hang him with certain questions. That's what this stuff is. So I'm the guy that took the 250-hour jurisdictionary course. Now I'm going up against a seasoned attorney, $250,000 education, 30 years of experience. I send him admissions questions. Here's how I was taught to answer admissions questions. Admitted, denied, or not enough information. They're the only three answers you give. When somebody sends you a admissions question, yes, no questions, I either admit it, I deny it, or there's not enough information that you've asked me for me to provide you an answer. So when
just make sure, I just want to caveat that. Just make sure you check the state laws that you are in, because the only place I found was North Carolina. If you denied, North Carolina required that I give a reason for the denial. It was very different than Louisiana, Mississippi, or anywhere else that Alphonse is correct. Alphonse, North Carolina was the first one that I found that if you denied or put without knowledge, they wanted you to actually state, I can't remember the correct phraseology, but they wanted you to state why.
Right. So here I am with my little $250 online legal education. And here's a seasoned attorney, $250,000 education, 30 years experience minimum over me. I sent him admissions questions, which I should have got back, admitted, denied, or not enough information. He sends me paragraphs back for each question. Okay. He literally wrote me a paragraph. That's the biggest legal no-no that you ever want to do. You
It
never
is.
want to give people more information than they're asking for, because that's why when the cop pulls you over and he says, "Well, Mr. Sibley, where are you going?" Mr. Sibley, did you know, Mr. Sibley, where are you coming from? This is a fishing expedition, okay? He's getting information out of you. It's the same thing that this attorney did when he gave me paragraph answers back. He gave me a fish. He gave me the fish, basically. He said, here, look at all this other stuff now you can now pound down. Here's a new ground for you to tap down.
Well, and like in the one that I dealt with in North Carolina, the guy, he sent me requests for admissions. Brian and Stretcher did requests for production, interrogatories, all in one document. Okay, and each one of the sections, he asked the same questions over and over again, and I just objected on duplicity, right? But it proved to me again, like what 2218 Life says right here. Each stage of this process, you become more aware, and I realized that this guy didn't even know how to write an interrogatory, and yet he's been a 35-year member and one of the storied lawyers of all Brevard County, North Carolina. Hey man, that's a pretty big indictment on their intelligence level over there.
Now, you just said he clustered all his discovery stuff together and hit it to you all one shot, right?
Yeah, completely blew his whole wad.
If I'm going to do discovery with somebody, here's what I'm going to hit him with. Do I have a right to due process? What I'm going to have to say first, okay? Isn't a due process a formal notice and opportunity to defend myself? They're going to have to say yes. When you filed your lien, was that due process? Okay. Now, just for me getting him his response saying that I have a right to due process. Well, now, let me get my interrogatory. Let me get my admissions back first. Because next thing I'm going to hit him with was explain to me how filing a lien without any notice to me is due process. Now I tripped him up because I know I already got him on the record saying that I'm entitled to due process. You don't send that together. It's one after the other. You're baiting them along. You're laying a little trail of breadcrumbs for him to follow.
That's right. You're right. Now it's. And look, guys, when you think in your higher mind, it's like what I did the lawyer in North Carolina. I started off, was my Uncle Ron a lawyer? Yes. Was my Uncle Ron an astute, established businessman? Yes. and then I led up to where the point that I was making was, why would my Uncle Ron, who was a highly intelligent man, by the way, hire a dumbass who doesn't even know the professional rules of conduct, that he's violated his professional rules of conduct? And that's how I led up to it, and so now in the record, I've got an entire request for admissions. He had to go, yes. Oh, I'm going to recuse myself.
He didn't know what you were doing. He didn't see what you were doing. You were leading him over into the corner, basically. He come on. He didn't know. He just he was a lawyer. Okay, he was very competent. He didn't see what you were doing. That's the power of the discovery stuff. You get to ask these questions. And like you said, there's a seasoned attorney, big shot he was, right where you're at, and he sent you all that junk all together. He just wanted to get it all out of the way. Let's just send all the discovery right away.
Well, and now the bad part is the new lawyer taking over. The only thing left she has is depositions and subpoenas. Guess what Brandon still has? Or my dad still has. We still have interrogatories, because all I did was request the original documents, which, by the way, they've never produced. Told me no. I'll do something on that later. I think we're going to settle. I think we're going to be settling here very soon, just because the motion to withdraw is April 19th. But that's neither here nor there. But my dad, because my dad doesn't know. He's like, why aren't you doing the interrogatories? I said, because I don't need to right now.
How's your dad know about interrogatories?
Yeah.
How does your dad know about interrogatories? Did you teach your dad about interrogatories?
I'm teaching him. Well, look, even my dad. Look, guys, I know some of you think I'm a butthole, and I'm not. When I send you information and I make you go do the research first, okay? Listen, if you don't go do the research, I can't spoon feed you the whole time. It's impossible if you don't go. It's not that I'm being a jerk, because Brandon doesn't have the time, ability to, or let's be honest, I don't have the same interest in your problem as you do. Okay. I care, but I can only care to a point. I can't care about it like you can. So when I do these things, even my own dad, I make them go read the civil code. I make them go read what I'm doing. I don't plan on them doing it at this time, and I'll help them through the whole process because this is going to be quick and easy. But I'm teaching them at the same time, because guess what's happened during this process? I've opened up a whole new level in my dad's mind. He's going, well, son, well, guess what my dad's done since I started all this? I think it's been 18 months ago. My dad doesn't pay taxes anymore. You know who beat the Iowa Department of Revenue and IRS for my dad? Hey, it's me. So he's got a new level of awareness. And it just works out, people. So don't get mad when Alphonse and I, or anybody that helps you, tells you to go read, and you don't go read and you want more help. Yes, it takes a little while to unfilter the brain and unlearn all the bad stuff you have, but it's for a purpose. It's not just to get rid of you. It's to help you get to the point to where you don't need me.
Yeah, 20. Steve has gotten, he's got 20 properties off in his county. He's got properties throughout the country off the tax rolls. But when somebody comes to him, first thing he does is he gives them material to read. Hey, listen, I need you to go take the jurisdictionary course. I need you to read this. And he'll send them stuff to read. And he said a large percentage of them drop out. They disqualify themselves because 2 or 3 months into it, they're not doing anything with it. They're not reading what he sent them. They're not doing what he told them. Well, why is Steve going to do backflips to help them if they're not even going to help themselves? So you got to do it yourself. And like Brandon said, no one's ever going to care about your problem more than you are. Okay, you're going to have, totally that's your baby there. That's your rights or whatever is being violated. So no one's ever going to put the effort in that you are. So you've got to do that. And look, I look at it this way now. Every time I got involved in something and I hated learning something, or like, oh, now I got to do this, now I got to do that, it spun me off in another direction. I'm like, wow, now I learned this, now I learned that. Had this not happened, this problem, I would have never went down that road. So you've got to read this stuff yourself. You've got to have an understanding of it, because Brandon can't go into court for you, and I can't go into court for you and argue it for you. You're going to have to do this yourself. So you're going to have to, we can help you with your stuff, but you're the one that eventually is going to have to walk in that courtroom and understand what's on that paper, being able to litigate it by basically supporting it, saying, hey, listen, you guys can't do this. You can't charge me with trespass because you don't own the property. Okay. Number one, you don't own Walmart, so it can't be a trespass. And obviously, when I walked into the shop for food, there's no criminal intent for walking in there, walking for a shop for food, and a trespass can't be criminalized by a statute. Well, this is real stuff coming from American jurisprudence.
It is.
You need to understand that and throw that at that judge's face. Because now if that judge doesn't want to do what's right and make this case go away, well, now you go after the judge. Okay, now you can take Mr. Judge and he loses his immunity because he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, basically. Okay, he knew the law and he decided he was just going to railroad you. But
let me ask this, Alphonse. I've always wondered this, and this is just a thought process from my own mind. Is an administrative judge in that kangaroo court impersonating a judge?
He wants you to believe he's a judge. Yeah, he's really an administrative judge. Yeah. Well, here's the funny part about this. We got somebody in my Telegram group. They live in Oregon, I think, and the incident happened in California, or it might be reversed. I forget. It might be flipped around. But she filed a judicial complaint against it was a trespass. Like we're just talking about a trespass. Only the owner could trespass you. And you had to, when you walk on a property, you've got to have criminal intent. When you walked into the store, you need criminal intent. Well, if you're in there shopping, you don't have criminal intent. So she filed a judicial complaint against the judge. Well, the Judicial Review Board for the state, they said, oh, we have no jurisdiction over that judge. Why would that be? Because he's an administrative judge. Like you said, to me, I would go after him for impersonating a court officer.
It's just something I've been thinking about,
He's not a court officer. When he's acting in that function, He's an administrator. He's a glorified administrator, okay? He's not a court officer because you're not in the judicial process in an administrative thing. So that's an avenue you can go down to. That there's a crime. He's impersonating a judicial officer because in that function, he's not a judicial officer. He's acting like an administrator for a corporation. So yeah, you're onto that. That's right.
I just wondered. I'm putting your Telegram link. You need more people, so here you go.
Yeah, right. We got to kill more patriots. We got to kill a few more. You know.
I try my best to come in and assist you there, and it's but it's hard because we see the same things over again, and unfortunately, we had another one of the 1099 deals break free on a channel we frequent a lot. That's brought about a bunch of this poppycock back. But again, that's just not vetting enough. But guys, don't get involved with the 1099 stuff that just blew up on the internet with this. I might no point even saying his name. You know who it is. I'm sure y'all know who it is. I find out about it always late because I don't know anybody. I'll listen to Alphonse. I'll listen to Brett, Randy, and Steve. I listen to Steve. I have found all of Steve Emerson's old audio files, even with Angie. What was her name?
That's an education into itself. That file. I mean, every time I listen, I talk to Steve every night, even when I want to listen to the videos, whatever. I still learn stuff. I'm like, oh, I just got that, Yeah.
No, you can't digest all this information at once, and that's why, like the guy today in your Telegram link, I said, slow down a little bit and explain to me what has really happened. And,
I remember that.
And he's just mixed all the ideas. He's doing okay. He just mixed all the ideas up. It's going to happen, like Alphonse said. At one point, one thing that you're looking at is going to finally make sense, and you're going to go, "Pooh! Oh, I got it."
Here's the power of this due process stuff that we're talking about, and the power of simulation of legal process that we're talking about tonight. Listen, we're talking about these administrative courts. That you're going to get pulled into this local municipal court. Most people think they're in a real court, that they're in a judicial court. They're in an administrative court. But when you know the basics of law, here's how you take that administrative court and you flip it on its head. Now you motion into that court, and in your motion, first paragraph, you can make an appearance in person, or you can make an appearance by paper. Your paper is considered an appearance. Did you know that? When you file documents into a matter, that is considered making an appearance in a matter. When you file documents in a matter. So if I file a motion into this administrative process, and guess what? When you read the statute that they're moving against you under, nowhere in that statute doesn't mention anything about motions. Okay? Nothing in there about motions.
No, it doesn't.
But motions are part of due process of law. Okay? So now when I file a motion into that administrative court hearing, well, now I've taken an administrative process and now I flipped it on its head. Now it becomes a judicial process because here's what's going down. The attorney filed with the clerk. The clerk's actually an employee of the county. Okay, so they did this little process, this little lien process, without ever putting it before a judge. Okay. Now, when I file that motion in there, that attorney's got to answer my motion. And when he answers my motion, now I set a motion hearing with the administrator of the court. Hey, got my answer. I'm going to need to have a motion hearing here. I'm going to need to find out how the hell you guys did this. How you got this kicked off without a complaint filed? How this guy created a lien out of thin air? We're going to have to talk about this. Now a judge has to get involved. Now the judge is in a real awkward position.
Are you sure they didn't tell you because of your birth certificate?
Yeah, it was So he's going to try and steamroll me and Brandon. He's got to try and BS me and Brandon into hoping we don't know what's going on. But if we walk into that motion process and he's going to try and divert me off that motion, he's going to walk me down some other path. But I go, no, listen, sir, I'm here to talk about what's on this paper here. That's my only thing here because it's a motion hearing. We're going to address what's in my motion. Now we're going to find out how the heck this guy created a lien without a judge's order. Once that judge understands that I understand the process of what's going on, we got to tiptoe around me now, okay? He got to try and make this thing go away because now I could sue the heck out of him too. because he knows that I know the game. He knows
Right.
that I know that this is not a legal process, a judicial process here, that they got me in an administrative court. But now I sort of screwed them up. I threw the monkey wrench into the administrative process, because now I'm doing judicial things. And guess what else I could do in that administrative hearing? I did in my sewer authority case. I could do discovery. The 5 things of discovery I could exercise. They never saw that in the sewer authority case. I guarantee no one's ever done discovery in a sewer authority case. Okay. But guess what? When I did the discovery request, the attorney answered. He had to answer.
Yeah.
Because it's due process of law. So now I've taken this administrative process. There's no parts of discovery in that administrative process. Through doing motions and discovery, I've now turned this into a judicial process. And now when I start doing this, now I need to get answers for how they did this, how they got this action started without having a complaint before the court. That's a bad, awkward position for both the guy.
Well, it's a very awkward position for them.
Yeah, bad position for all of them involved.
Because somebody in there's done gone and if they don't know, they've gone and asked somebody that does know by now.
Well, yeah, here's what's going to happen. When the judge, he's going to have that little hearing with you, and he's not going to see you coming. When you come in there, he's really not. He probably didn't even look at your motion. He's not going to look at it till you actually in the courtroom, believe it or not. He probably hasn't even looked at your paperwork. But then when he sees you, he hears you talking, and he knows that you know what's going on. He's having that in his mind. He's going, oh, heck, or oh, hell, I got a problem here. He knows that attorney can't do what he did, and he knows the administrator, the clerk can't do what she did. Now what I do with this guy, okay? Yeah. I got to make this thing go away. And we've got a lot of things go away like that. When you call them on this stuff, that judge is in a real bad position. You think that judge is going to risk his career for that idiot attorney? No, he ain't going to let that attorney drag him down. Most likely, when he knows that you got the pieces, if he's smart, he's going to make this go away and dismiss this. He's going to make it go away.
That's right. That's right. And listen, guys, as we come to a close here, because I didn't even realize we was at 2 hours. These processes have again and again proven to work. Now, listen. At your lower levels, you can't stop anybody from committing a crime against you, but you have due process. That was the purpose of this particular episode of Talk. Just shooting shit, really. And excuse my language there, but that's what we're trying to do is show you that you have the common law right for redress of grievances to a court for relief. It's not at the low level, but it's written in black and white for you to go read it too. And if you get these foundational truths in your head, you're going to see it finally how your due process substantive rights are being bypassed. And yes, it does take a little while to understand procedural law. It really does. But it's really not that complicated. It's complicated to us because it's so foreign to us. Unfortunately, we haven't been taught any of it. That's purposeful and by design for us to not be able to do what we need to do. But nonetheless, as of right now, still today, the courts are still, the higher courts are at least still ruling on law. So it's time that we learn it. That way our offspring can live with liberty and freedoms, okay? And that's the purpose for this. You got anything else, my friend?
No, listen, just basically, if you read something and it's like Chinese to you, you don't understand it. Guess what? Most likely, it wasn't written for you. It was written for an attorney, okay? So, yeah, even now, I mean, I'm pretty good with this stuff, but I'll be reading stuff and be like, man, that's like, they're all over the place. And they will skirt the word and infer that certain thing, that you're this word without coming out and saying it. They can be real clear, but they don't want to do that. And here's the main thing I want to try and get across to you. Listen, 95% of your problems are going to come from your local municipalities. It's not going to come from the federal government. You're going to have local municipalities are doing this. So what they're going to do is they're going to try and claim that they're filing actions based off for the state. Like the code guy will file against you because you didn't get the permit for your roof, the local code guy, because you violated the local ordinance, and now he's going to file Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Alfonso Fagiola. Well, listen. the state legislature that actually wrote this stuff, they're not making any claims against you. Never got anything from the state saying, Mr. Faggio, this applies to you and you're in violation. No, here's what's going on. Some local button pusher, whether he's the attorney for the button pushers or he's one of the button pushers, some local button pusher decided that he looked at these magic words on this document and he discerned that meant you, that you're a person, and that gave him authority over you and your property. So now he's the one that's moving this legal action against you. It's not the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's your local, it's the attorney, and it's your local municipality. So that's the other thing you go after. You go, hey, wait a minute. I never got anything from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania saying that Title 53 applies to me. That's a local taxation code. All I know is this guy with a bar card over here, he's making legal determinations that Title 53 applied to me. He don't have any evidence on the record whatsoever that Title 53 applies to me. So know your enemy, know thy enemy, know who's coming at you. Don't look just because it says Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Alfonso Fagiolo that means the state's coming after me. No, they're a political subdivision of the state. The state hasn't made any claim against me about me or my property. It's the local municipality doing this, and it's their attorney doing it. So now I can attack them on this level. Hey, listen, you guys violated due process. The state never said this applied to me. Your attorney looked at this junk written down here and decided that he could go file a lien against me without any judicial review, without any due process of law.
This
is how you take these people down.
That's right. And don't allow them to simulate legal process. Hold them to the rules. Dr. Graves, the first time I took jurisdictionary, and I've taken it 3 or 4 times now, just to refresh. And and matter of fact, every time I get ready to do something, like I'm working interrogatories right now, I went back and read what he had on it, and now I'm reading it out.
Steve still browsed through it.
And I pulled up interrogatories out of American Jurisprudence forms and pleadings, just to kind of get a good idea of how I want to do it and make sure my form's correct and things of that nature. But really, folks, diligence will pay off. Effort's going to pay off. And don't think you're going to learn it in a day or two. It's not going to happen, but it will come, and you're going to be just fine. I promise you. Stand on that foundation, understanding what a substantive right is, and then just apply everything else to that substantive right. You're going to be just fine. And I'm going to have to catch up. Oh, by the way, I guess there's only probably like 160 people in here. Upcoming in the very near future, Alphonse and I will be a part of something. What's it called? Lawful Solutions.
Lawful Solutions.
I don't know how we got involved in this, but we're going to have a lawful solution deal. I think Andy Kaufman is
Dr. Andrew Kaufman put it together. Yeah,
Andy Kaufman is putting it on. I think it's somewhere in June. We're working towards it now, but that's something later on that's going to happen down the road. So this information is starting to move outside our small little circle and expand, which is good. And I'm happy to be a part of it, Alphonse.
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't it a thrill to see somebody help have like success?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that just like the biggest boost that you could get? And then you see the empowerment that you gave that person, because now they look and they go, you know what? I'm not a victim.
Yeah.
I just learned something now. And a lot of times I've seen guys I've helped take it off of, like Ryan, the Marine. I did that interview with Beth Martin, and we wiped out 4 charges and the 4,200 hours of fine gone. Ryan's now maniac filing suits over there as far as helping people, filing stuff for people. He's giving the code inspectors hell. He goes there every day, Brandon, to visit the code guys to find out how the request is doing. Okay. Yesterday, he said he was in there. He said there were like 7 people congregated around the. As soon as he walked in, like 7 people congregated around the desk to read what he was bringing in. Okay. Yeah. He became like he took to it. Okay. I think that's great. Like to be able to help somebody and to see somebody do that and help other people. And that's how you start to sort of pass it on, hand it down. You help yourself first, but first you got to help yourself before you can help anyone else. You got to be able to help yourself. Don't try and save the world. Everybody wants to save the world first. Hey, let's go after the government and do that. No. You handle yourself, take care of your family, your friends, and then you start teaching other neighbors, whatever. This is, you're going to have to do it from one man at a time, build this up, you know. But, you know, once it's just basically putting the one foot in front of the other. And once you start to see it, and if you have the smallest teeny success, you're going to get addicted to this stuff, you know. You're going to go, wow, this is pretty cool. And some of this stuff, Brandon will tell you, it becomes fun. Because you know, hey, listen, I'm going to file a criminal complaint against this attorney. I already filed bar grievances against him. I know I'm banging his insurance there. I'm going to mail him a copy also. I want him to see what I did. Or a judge. Because an attorney would never, first of all, an attorney would never file a complaint against a judge. That would be suicide for him to do that. But me and Brandon can do it. And we're going to mail it to him also. We're going to mail it to the judge because we want him to know we did that to him. It's like Sonny from Bronxdale. Look at me when he grabs that biker. Look at me. I did this to you. We want that judge to know we did that to him because guess what? We'll do it to him again. Okay?
That's right.
Now he knows I can't control this guy. Yeah, I can't control these two guys. I can't control them. He can control that lawyer. Can't control me and Brandon. And
what did that lawyer say in my so I got a letter back from that attorney Brian N. Stretcher from North Carolina, and you know when I forced him to answer the request for admissions and the production, he's like, "This is generally unheard of." Yeah, I know it's generally unheard of. Yeah, I know. I know exactly, and that's what's wrong with the entire profession because nobody holds anybody accountable for their words, deeds, or actions. Yeah, it's generally unheard of. The truth is generally unheard of with bar members.
You just want to know the monkey. You weren't one of the other monkeys. You're a different kind of monkey. You're like the gorilla now. He's not used to seeing this. This stuff is.
All right, dear brother. I'll catch up with you again soon. Thank you for coming by. And hey, if you have an idea that you think would further this little deal, because I know your group's watching it, probably a few Randy Kelton people, our people here. If you have an idea that will tie these two talks, the administrative, in going into the judicial, and how we can move forward with this with these little talks. There's no way we can do these all the time. I've got a couple interviews coming up, but I think I'm about to start turning interviews down.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that. I've been doing a lot of that. First of all, I'm tired of hearing myself talk.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I'm the same way too. Gary made the video of the trip to Virginia, and we're sitting there watching, and I'm like, I want to watch my daddy play the guitar. I don't want to see myself talk. You know, I don't want to see me talk anymore. I'm sick of it.
Yeah,
I get it. All right, man. Thank you for coming, Alphonse, and we'll do this again sometime in the near future.